It's all about that AEW World Championship. You just saw official Bryce Remsburg hold up, who has been assigned to call this big title match here at the Prudential Center. We're quite near the home territory for Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Moxley starting right off with a cheap shot, sending the first missile, saying, hey, this is how I want things to go. And now trying to play the mind games with MJF by holding his hands behind his back, saying, hey, why don't you take your shot? And MJF slaps Moxley. Moxley, a member of the Blackpool Combat Club, managed none other by William Regal, one of the all-time greats when it comes to technical wrestling. What a thunder chop. Moxley just biting on the face of MJF. These are two total opposites inside the squared circle. MJF, as traditional as it gets. Moxley likes to get down to the nitty and gritty and likes a good bloodbath. MJF with a mocking strut and basically saying to Mox, kiss my you-know-what. And Mox goes over the top to the outside onto the floor. MJF, we know this isn't MJF style. I was just going to say, and MJF taking the time to warm up a little bit as he runs the ropes. I was just going to say, yeah, I don't remember the last time I saw MJF do a dive. But maybe I wouldn't have turned my back to Moxley that long. That wasn't quite the best decision. Moxley might actually bite the face off of MJF in this match. Moxley flipping off the crowd and then a kiss to follow it up. Oh, now it's MJF stomping away at Jon Moxley in the corner, stomping a mud hole. The official trying to tell MJF to pull back. Moxley pulls himself up and nails MJF with a clothesline. Now it's Mox is doing a little bit of showboating for that split second. You saw that pose from Moxley. Look at these face, just smashing the face, these cross arms. This is how Moxley plays. He doesn't play clean and sharp. This is dirty. There is nothing clean about it. It's just not how Moxley plays. Oh, and a throwaway suplex. MJF lands hard on his back. Moxley looking to get an early pinfall here. Perhaps to follow it up with a submission hold. Pulling on the back of the hair. An STF here from Jon Moxley. MJF is caught in a submission hold. Now it's MJF who's playing dirty. He's now biting the hand of Moxley to force a break on the submission. You know, there's a saying, don't bite the hand that feeds you. But Moxley hasn't been feeding MJF anything. MJF feeds MJF. So MJF ain't worried about the hand he bites. Moxley again. Look at this. Michinoku driver and turns it right into a Jujikatami, that armbar. But MJF was right in the position to get a grasp of his arm, so the lock isn't fully in. Moxley trying to force the break on the submission. Is he going to be able to do so, though? Look at where his legs are, trying to push back at that right bicep to create a break on the lock, but MJF with great ring awareness, able to get his feet on the bottom rope to force the rope break. MJF could have experienced some serious damage. Moxley did get a little bit of that in on that armbar. Moxley follows up with a clothesline to MJF in the corner. This might not be a fun night for MJF if Moxley continues to have his way here in New Jersey. Moxley, who stays on the attack, has that AEW World Championship. Moxley, the man that carried All Elite Wrestling through the pandemic era, a multi-time AEW World Champion. The water spit in the face of Moxley, temporarily catching the champion off guard. Well, you know what? I did just assume that it was water. It was some kind of liquid that was misted into the eyes of Moxley, but Moxley seems to have found his footing and it didn't blind him. Moxley, who is back in the ring, saying he's done with that guy as he points back. MJF, who is still down and out on the floor. Moxley is all alone in the ring as the ref's count has begun. Moxley has had a great showing so far. You can see why he has been entrusted to lead this company through the harshest of times. Moxley has been the right-hand man when it comes to being the big player. He knows what it means to be on top. And right now, MJF made it back in the ring. Moxley nailed MJF with some nasty forearms, but look at this. MJF explodes out of the corner and lays out Moxley. Both men are now down and out. After exploding out of the corner for that clothesline, MJF fell right to the mat. Moxley's the one who's moving first. MJF slapping the mat, trying to fire himself up. MJF, a man who believes he really doesn't need the championship, but it's one of those things, you kind of just want to have. MJF, the self-proclaimed generational talent. You really can't doubt and deny the claims that MJF is saying. When he says these things, he talks the talk and he walks the walk. Is tonight going to be the same story, though? You could say you're a generational talent, but are you AEW World Champion? That is soon to be determined by the outcome of this contest between Maxwell Jacob Friedman and the AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley, able to sidestep, kick to the midsection, perhaps looking for the paradigm shift. And MJF whipping Moxley, landing spine first in the corner. Nice stack up to follow up on Moxley, able to break the cover before the 3. MJF, now the one who has turned things around. Could it be the turnaround for MJF that he's needed? You still see MJF holding onto the arm, holding onto the midsection. So MJF is feeling wear and tear from Moxley's brutal attacks. MJF grabbing that big AEW World title. It seemed that he was going to use it, but instead, MJF bringing the table into this matchup. He's repositioning the table. You gotta wonder what MJF has in mind. This usually isn't part of MJF's game plan, but it's one of those moments that perhaps he's thinking go big or go home, especially on his road for glory, his road for gold. It's a gold rush right now, but Moxley out of nowhere with a cutter. You just don't know when it's gonna come. Moxley just jumped up and nailed MJF with a cutter. And here comes these infamous Blackpool Combat Club stomping the skull in of MJF, usually in the playbook of a man he calls one of his all-time favorites, and somebody he's been fortunate to be tag team partners with, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Absolute brutality by Jon Moxley, and bows to the AEW crowd, and they just don't want any part of it. That's the problem. You're too close to MJF territory. Believe it or not, there are actual people that cheer for this scumbag MJF. It's kind of ironic. MJF is going to leave, could leave as AEW World Champion in a town that's actually cheering him. Go figure. No. This isn't going to be what I think it's going to be. Moxley, perhaps, looking for a Gotch-style pile driver through the table. MJF able to block it. And a throat chop blocking Moxley. MJF has Moxley. No. Able to fully power up Moxley. Tombstone right on the apron. But clutches right for that knee. The knee taking some of that force, some of the damage. Perhaps taking the brunt of it. Let's get another look at that. Oh, yeah. There it is. You saw it right there when the knee took the brunt of the force of that damage. The knee pad slipping off the patella a little bit, which is a detriment to a strategy where your legs, where a lot of the power in your body, where your offense comes from, is from the legs. MJF is just going to have to rely on adrenaline. However, what I will say is, how far can adrenaline take you in a situation like this? MJF gonna go for it again, I guess. The knee, it doesn't seem like the knee is going to be able to hold up. Moxley kicking the back of the knee. No. Oh my. No. Pile driver through the table. Once you introduce the table, you bring a whole new addition to the danger zone. And welcome to the jungle. It's an all-out war. Moxley can't forget, he just experienced that tombstone on the apron, and with the damage to the knee of MJF wasn't able to follow up with a pile driver through the table, and the damage that MJF experienced actually allowed Moxley to capitalize. MJF is out like a light. Is Moxley gonna take the count out? It seems to be the case. Bryce Remsburg count has begun. Actually, we're already at the count of 3. We are almost halfway there. MJF hasn't even moved. Moxley is struggling inside the ring, but he is inside the ring, so you can't be counted out. And now MJF starting to move a little bit. At the count of 7, Moxley will retain via countout. Already at 8. At 9, it's going to be all over. Oh, that was like 9.99 seconds. I don't know if Moxley realized it. Yes, he does. Paradigm shift. There it is. Oh, and MJF able to kick out of the paradigm shift. Moxley just going blow after blow to the bad knee of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And Moxley looking to send it all home. And the figure 4 leg lock gonna do extensive damage to the knee of MJF. Moxley ready to put away Max for good. Moxley twisting on the ankle, doing as much damage as possible to the self-proclaimed generational talent. Moxley got a little bit of a bridge on that for a second, which will put even more pressure on the knee. MJF experiencing a lot of pain at this point. MJF pulling on the collar of the official. MJF screaming, writhing in pain and agony. Can he turn it over? Putting the force and the damage on Jon Moxley. Moxley trying to keep it in position, but MJF doing everything in his power to try and turn it. Can MJF do it? Oh, and there it is. MJF able to turn it, but Moxley's right there. And quickly is Moxley to make sure he gets the rope for the rope break. But a little bit of damage has been done to Moxley as you see him grasp for that left leg now. With both men grabbing at the knee. Now you know, both men have weak points. Of course, MJF's knee is a little bit worse, if I am to say so, than Moxley's knee. Moxley didn't spend as much time dealing with damage to the knee as MJF. MJF looking for a heat seeker. There it is. All of it. Drills Moxley head first into the mat. We could have a new world champion. And Moxley able to kick out. A near fall for MJF, but Moxley is not ready to let go of the AEW World Championship. It is going to take a lot more than that. MJF perhaps thinking one more to seal the deal. Seal it. Oh, but the way that Moxley pushed MJF out, he landed on his knees, and a chop block to the back of the knee follows up with more damage. Moxley gonna put all of his weight and sits right down on the knee of MJF. No, and again. And Mox stomping on the chest. Moxley trying to blow out the knee of MJF to make sure he is successful in his defense against MJF. Look where Moxley is right now. MJF realized he was in deep trouble. MJF grabs the top rope and Moxley stumbles, and the family jewels feel the ring post bar that connects the ring post and the turnbuckles. MJF has Moxley up. What is he thinking? MJF trying to put a lot of weight on his shoulders, but that also put a lot of pressure on the knees as well. Moxley now with these elbows. We've seen these before. Moxley doing everything he can to break apart MJF. Pulling all the Blackpool Combat Club's biggest hits. Moxley up at the top. All the way up at the top. No. Moxley. Super paradigm shift. But I think Moxley may have hurt his shoulder as he struggles to make it to the cover. Clutching the shoulder and pulls the far leg. MJF fingertips on the bottom rope. Trying to stretch on the arm of Max. Let's get another look at this. Look at the landing on that paradigm shift. An avalanche paradigm shift. All the weight forced on MJF. MJF also laying on his feet before crashing and burning on his head. So with any part of that landing, MJF got all of that impact. But Moxley got a bit of impact in the way his shoulder landed, which ultimately affected the way he was able to secure a cover on MJF, not leading to a successful 3 count. MJF, glossy-eyed. Moxley is fired up. MJF is weary and trying to pull himself up. There's not much left to MJF at this point. Perhaps Moxley just doing everything he can to prove that MJF isn't the generational talent he says he is. MJF just spit at the face of Moxley, and Moxley just pushing MJF, and MJF falls right to the mat. MJF just falls right down. Moxley is going to end it. Moxley is just ready to put away. Oh, MJF somehow finds a way to fight back, and Moxley trades. Moxley saying, hey, I'll trade with you. And now with a tit for tat, blow for blow, we are in full game mode right now. And a kick to the knee creates a little bit of separation. Perhaps could be the difference maker for Moxley. Another kick. Oh, puts official Bryce Remsburg in harm's way. And the path of Moxley. Moxley taking out the ref. MJF with that smirk. Digs into the trunks. And look what he finds. Plan B. The Dynamite Diamond Ring. That has secured so many victories when times are tough. Of hopes and dreams. But look at this. Regal is coming out. Regal's saying, don't you think about it. Regal trying to tell MJF to put it down. MJF threw down the ring and then flips off Regal. Why is he listening to Regal? And there's Jon Moxley behind MJF. MJF spent a little bit too much time focusing on Regal. Look at this. MJF counter. Look at this. And there's Paul Turner. Now back in the sleeper is Moxley. And there goes a second ref. Moxley leans it on Paul Turner. And now we're down 2 refs. This has been all kinds of chaotic. Moxley and MJF. Oh. Nice switch by Moxley. And right back into a choke. Bulldog. Bulldog and ball game. And MJF is tapping. But the problem is Bryce Remsburg still hasn't recovered. So he hasn't seen it. And William Regal trying to tell Moxley that Bryce Remsburg didn't see it because he's not back up yet. Moxley going to get the ref. Wait, what? What is this? Regal just slipped MJF brass knucks. What the hell? What in the world? The knucks. I am absolutely befuddled and puzzled by what we just saw from William Regal. And the birds to the sky. MJF has done it. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is the All Elite Wrestling World Champion. The smirk on the face of William Regal. William Regal has just done what I didn't even think was ever possible. Just turning his back on Jon Moxley and helping out MJF. I'm mere speechless at what we just saw. The results is in what we see on our screen. MJF's the AEW World Champion. The MJF, you see the sign from the fan. The MJF era begins tonight, and it has begun as he holds the title high above his head. MJF leads AEW into a brand new era.